Hello, everybody. We'll get started in a little bit. Focus on Romans, chapter 1. Welcome, everybody. We'll get started real quick here. I hope you all can see how Bible prophecy unfolds. And how fake this place really is. Life support, welcome. Glad to have you. Just getting started here. How is everybody doing today? I hope today finds you well. Every day should find you well. Knowing what the good Lord has in store for each of us. Fang, welcome. Glad to have you as well. Just getting started here. A couple Bible verses from Romans we'll talk about. It's good to hear, life. Good to hear. As you can see in the news, the human traffickers that are in Afghanistan that hide themselves as the American military were running for their lives out of Kabul. And when the plane took off, did you see the number on the plane was 9/11? Same with that video I put out the other day with the 9/11, the blackout. Refer to that. But you need to put on the whole armor of God because it's coming. Make no mistake about that. Look at that airplane, that military airplane. Sivrek, welcome. Hi. Sivrek says, I already know what you're talking about. Yeah, you saw that. What you got to ask yourself is who's filming that? Yeah, it was 11:09. 9/11, yeah. What you got to ask yourself is who's filming that? And how did that video get out? The whole thing is staged. The whole illusion. All those people running for their lives were all working with them, doing human trafficking stuff and or such. And that's why they run for their lives. But the important thing about that is the 9/11 on the airplane. Then you can refer to the video I did like 3-4 days ago. It was a commercial and it showed the grid going down and it said 9/11, the blackout. Now it was probably referring to a TV series or something, but it's just more subliminal crap that I'm not telling you nothing we didn't know, but just an observation I made. I'm sure a lot of you have as well. But Satan's world is collapsing. We're going to read this verse in Romans here. I will tonight. Chapter 1, verse 8. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godless and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness. This is what you're seeing right now. You understand? The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the ungodless and the wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. Now, how has God made it plain to them? Through people like Noah. Everybody else, including someone like me that can see. It has been made clear to them. What you're doing is wrong. Then that verse goes on. That verse goes on. Because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power, and his divine nature have been clearly seen, becoming understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. Humans, human men and human women, so that you are without excuse. God has sent people to tell you what it is. God sent, no, they laughed at him. And many more stories of people, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. God didn't just annihilate it, did he? I don't remember exactly, but he said, if I find 100 righteous men, if I find 50, 25, if I find one other righteous man, right? It's not, God just does, that's how it is now. God could have annihilated this place in November of 2019, but he didn't. The world ended. He let the illusion maintain on. Now the illusion's coming to an end. And that's what you're seeing. Many Bible verses of the last days, but this one here, God's wrath against the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven. You understand now how the wrath of God rolls through doesn't really matter. So if he allows Satan and his fallen angels to be cast to earth, because there's a restrainer right now, at some point, the wrath of God will be dispensed through many different things. You have to wake up to that, because it says God has made this plain to them. God has given people the ability, have seen clearly, being understood. And that's what I've been trying to tell all of you and everyone else. Whether you can see it or not, it's real. This whole thing is real. So that men are without excuse. Here's another verse we talk about a lot. All the church people, the church people. Yeah, Fang, good for you. God bless you, Fang. And everyone else. Some people are there. Some people are on their way. All that matters is that you're on that narrow. Well done. Here's another verse. For although they knew God, so they knew of it. Just like everyone you grew up with, you know what I mean? They go to church. They neither glorified him as God nor gave him thanks. But their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal men, and birds and animals and reptiles. You understand that? That's what we're talking. They're not us. They're not us. This is a great verse. There's many. Blessed are your eyes, for they see. There's many verses. You understand? For images made to look like mortal man. So they look like devil dude chicks. All that stuff. And birds. And animals and reptiles. The serpents, right? But you better wake up. God's righteous, chapter 2. Therefore, you have no excuse. You have no excuse. People have been telling you. We're all sinners. Remember that. But you got to wake up to what's going on. They're not us. They never have been us. Never will be. But they look like us. Kind of. They certainly don't act like us. And that's why that exists. To drag as many souls straight to hell as it can. But God has had enough of this place, and by the grace of God, He's given us all time to wake up. Even like I said, if you're 1% awake, He's given us that time. Have patience with people that you try. Either they're going to wake up or they're not. But God will bring people to you, or you to people. You got to put in that work. And I'm talking about after the collapse. I'm not talking about right now. You should be putting in that work. You should be learning, and you should be figuring out who you are and what comes along with that. And if you're not doing that, what did you do today? What are we talking about then? What did you spend all day doing if you didn't do that? Every moment I wake up, that's on my mind. But this place is crumbling, and they're hiding it. The fall of Afghanistan, or what's going on in South Africa or Cuba or France or Germany or everywhere else, they're hiding as protests, but it's really collapsing, and they'll continue to do that. Not that anybody watches the TV news, though. They have no value at all in the real world. Couldn't be more irrelevant. They should put that on their TV news. But all these things must come to pass. None of this is going to be a surprise to you. You know the deal. They're going to say a Russia and Chinese hacker took down the grid. Or North Korea or Iran. North Korea doesn't even exist. Doesn't even exist. But none of that matters. The depth of it is amazing, but none of it matters. All that matters is that book and drawing near to Christ. And as I've said many times, got to come out of the world. Hopefully by now all of you understand what that means, because that world ended. And I think most of you can see that. Now the illusion's coming to an end. Yeah, not against flesh. That's a great verse, Life. Not against flesh and blood, right? So they might look like us, but that's why I always say that glass doll eyes, not human eyes. Glass doll eyes, pale synthetic skin, way too white of teeth. Not against flesh and blood. Also another verse, Life, is men will lust after unnatural flesh. That's another verse that pertains to that. Well said. That's why Christ must return and cut these days, or there'll be no flesh left. There'll be no humans left. He's never going to let that happen. Never has, never will. Even in Noah and his family were the last ones, the last humans. They were probably big as hell, probably like 20 feet tall or something. Giants. Everything was different. You can tell by the doorway, all of it. None of it matters. All that does matter is that you stay on that straight and narrow, and that everything you read in that Bible, or that you know of it, will come to pass. All these things must come to pass. And because you're out of the world, and you've drawn near to Christ, and you're covered in the blood of Christ, it's not going to affect you. You will end up on God's green earth, though. You're not going to be living the dream. How it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be on God's earth. As the grid goes down and this place crumbles, you'll be doing God's work. Yep, lovers of themselves. Their hearts will grow cold. All of that. Those are the people that are still in the world. They've done whatever they had to do to get ahead in this life. He who dies with the most toys wins. Have you ever seen that bumper sticker He who dies with the most toys wins. It should say under that, brought to you by Satan. A great show is like a hoarders type of show, or where they go around and buy people's old junk, and these people get old and they have barns full of this crap they spent their whole life getting. They die and go away, and then like their wife calls these picker guys in, and they go in and just buy it for like pennies on the dollar. Do not store up treasures in this earth. That's just such a great example. I just don't care to have the time to do all those videos. You should know that already. Sterling, welcome. He's seen that bumper sticker. He who dies with the most toys wins. Brought to you by Satan and all the fallen angels. Please deliver your souls to us. Put your faith in something that isn't Christ. But yeah, look at that airplane taking off from the airport in Kabul. 9/11 it says on it. 1109, but you know the deal. It's all crap. If you see it, like I said, who's filming that? You understand? That's how you know it's staged. That's how you know it. Who's filming it? Why you got such clear HD footage from all these different angles of this plane taking off? West plane out of Kabul. Set it up. Ready? Action. Release the actors. Come running onto the runway at the most opportune time. Yeah, dude, they were falling off the plane as it took off. No way there's no way once they hit the thrusters from the jets, anybody held on to anything. They would have been laying on the runway. Certainly wouldn't have made it all the way up in the air, hanging onto that thing. Come on. None of that's real. None of that's real. I could do that with every news story. Break it down. But, either you know that by now or you don't. Yeah, the Taliban. They're all synthetic androids. Pale synthetic skin. Glass doll eyes. All of it. All of it. But yet the news reporters were just left alone. Everybody got their shots. Their shots of the plane taking off. HD. Set up on tripods. You know the deal. Like I said, Satan's going to explode. Right now, Satan's exposing how stupid they are. And people are like, man, they're so stupid. But they always have been. Since the dawn of man. That's why I always say, hey, they can't fix potholes. You understand? They can't fix potholes. But that's what it is. That's how they do staged events. And if they try to sell it was real, then you gotta ask yourself, why are these people running for their lives in a place that they went to help? Maybe they're not who they appear to be. Maybe they're doing something way worse over there. But you can see the whole thing staged. It's like all their crap. Nobody feeds into it. But yet, Satan gets the effect of making his people look stupid. You understand that? You understand why all these things, he's got to expose them for how stupid and the stuff they do. Then he's going to exterminate them and all those that partook with them or turned a blind eye to it and suckled at that teat. Everything I say is going to happen. During that, this place will collapse. There will be no food in the stores. There'll be no fuel at the gas station. Satan's world is collapsing. That's not our world. It's Satan's food. It's Satan's fuel. His gas stations, all his stuff. He can have it all. You know what God's world is. And you know what Satan, the great deception you were born into. The trees and the river and the grass. The people are so disconnected from that. I feel lucky that I grew up in Wisconsin. I woke up in the morning as a kid. I said, I'll be out in the woods. Just went out. That's how I grew up in the forest, doing country ass stuff. I'm so lucky for that. That's got to be by design. Child of God. Teresa, welcome. Glad to have you. I'm so lucky that I got to grow up that way. Yeah, Fang as well. Very few people get to do that. Yeah, I used to go out there and build forts and go fish and everything. You know what I mean? There's woods as far as you can go, and then a cornfield, like a whole day full of forest, and then cornfields for a whole day, and then forest again. You know, we explored all of it. We were kids, as far as one could go. Yeah, all had that same background. That was my favorite time being out there, with or without people. I had all the people in the neighborhood, you know, or people from school, but I don't think they took to it like I did. I enjoyed being out there, and it wasn't always nice. Sometimes it was like 30 below. It's Wisconsin. You'd be out there in your little fort, freezing, but you'd be out there because that's where you go, you know. Yeah, life too, country girl. Yep, but that's God's world. As free as a bird out there. No real poles of society. Like I said, I didn't watch TV. I don't never really watch TV. I use it as a teaching tool briefly in my videos, but I don't know anything about celebrities other than they're whack and they're Satan's children. And it never did in my youth either. So thank God for that. So glad got to grow up in that. So glad God drugged me out of the world 2003. But as you can see around you, that world ended. Whatever you want to call that, that illusion of that it was always been like this. It hasn't been so blatant because Satan didn't have that short, but he's in his last days, right? You see the deal, and you can see it all around you, though nobody else can. They can't see everything's collapsing. No, it's protests, bro. It's collapsing, and they're hiding it, Gary. Gary can't understand that, can he? Never will, never has, never will. Long ago, I learned either they're going to understand what you're saying or they're not. And if they're not, they're stuck on stupid. What the Bible says, God has sent them the spirit of stupor, which means God has made them stupid. They're never going to wake up. Nothing, if I can't do it, you ain't doing it. So either they're going to put in that work like we all did. We talked about that. And they're going to get there, which we all pray for, right? We care about them. Everybody around us, they don't have that in them. They care nothing of their own. They're all props in each other's worlds. We're not like that. We don't treat people like that. And that's why we look stupid trying to tell them something they can't understand. But we're willing to do that because we care about them. Whether they get it or not isn't going to matter much. Either their name is in the Lamb's Book of Life, or they're dead already. Life support Your grandmother called it an eye. You mean? Are you talking about that black dot? The drone. The worldly term would be somebody got droned. But what that is that what you're talking about? Is Satan looks for who he can devour. So God has to allow that. They cross the line, get snatched up. But that's basically that's just a conscious. That's who whatever demon's running that body is what you're seeing with that. Oh, the TV, the ID, yeah. Yeah, and the radio before that. And vaudeville. That's like old timey Hollywood. Vaudeville. They used to travel the country. And the train, that's all satanic stuff. They call themselves actors and actresses, you know? Yeah. A lot of people never grew up with TV. I must have been the last generation because, like, that was the 90s. I was in the forest, grew up as a kid, or skating, or playing basketball, or baseball, or doing stuff. Normal people stuff. That's long gone. Not only is that world gone, the illusion of that world is about done. Days or weeks away, aren't we? You're seeing it is accelerate, and it's going to continue to accelerate. It's never going to go back. People in Vegas were mad because Vegas opened for what, like 2 months, and now they all have to wear masks, or they can't go in. Totally empty. Like I said, like a year and Vegas is done. It's bankrupt. I said that like a year and a half ago. They're just starting to realize it. Time is flying. Certainly is. It's garbage day here tomorrow. Seems like every day, every time you think about it, it's Tuesday. It's going to be Tuesday. Got to get the garbage out. Time is flying for sure. Time has ended. It ended in November of 2019, and that's why it's so crazy. Life support. I went to the movies the other night. Had to ask God for forgiveness. Yeah. I don't know what it would take to get me to go to a movie. Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to wear off. That's a great question, Sterling. I wonder when the bottom drops out, how long will it take for the cognitive dissonance to wear off from people who are asleep? It never will. It never will. That's why they keep testing the emergency alert service. You know, when you're sitting there and it goes on your TV and it says, this is a test of the emergency, blah, 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 blah. That's why they've been putting so much into that. And your phones, the emergency alert on your phones, because that's part of it. The tones that come out in that, not so much the message. The message will be go to our camps. You can get food and water. Get on the bus, bro. You can get food and water in the blackout when the grid goes down. But it's the tones in that. It's the most annoying sound in the history of life. And it's always way too loud. You know what I'm talking about when that comes up. But that's not for us. That's for all the hive-minded, cube-minded robots. The alert, that's how they control them through stuff like that. I can hear it through the main TV too. Little anomalies in it. Sounds. God has opened my ears to that. It is what it is. The firmament. Yeah. Unlimited. Welcome. Glad to have you. Thoughts on the firmament? The sky will roll back like a scroll. What you're seeing up there is like a TV screen. Yeah, those tones are what they use to control the bots and the brainwashed. That's, like I said, that's not for none of them. None of the stuff they do, their frequency weapons or whatever people tell you. Oh, dude, the gang stalkers are firing frequency weapons at me, bro. Well, it shouldn't affect you then at all. And if it's affecting you, something's wrong with you. So I'm fully aware of everything going on. Yeah, for the elect's sake. The elect, I will be here. At the end, I will be putting in work until the end. Hopefully, all of you understand what I've been saying. Because when the grid goes down, there won't be no more of these. I can do this in real life, though. I don't need the grid on or electricity or anything else to do this. Been at this too long to need any of this. Oh, 3 lifetime ago. And Pearson, glad to have you. Yeah, you can feel that it's like a hum or like a buzzing sound. I know exactly what you're talking about, Ann. And they'll say, oh, it's just a bad transformer or something. But that's not what it is. Good for you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Being aware of it, that's awesome. They have no effect on us. The darkness cannot penetrate the light. But that's what you're witnessing. You're witnessing Satan's world collapse. And in that, he's going to expose and exterminate all his own. That's what you're witnessing, without a doubt. But when, like you say, when the bottom drops out, days or weeks, because people are done with it. And very few people are even real or biblical based. But for the real people, they'll be gone very quickly. So will Satan's people. So what you'll have is the bots. Because once that restrainer gets lifted, all the robot people I keep talking about and showing you, those are just empty vessels for the fallen angels. They don't want to get into a herd of pigs again, do they? They're not all going to get into one crowd. They're printing out their own bodies. Fake. They would call them transhuman artificial intelligent robots, or organic portholes would be another worldly term. But that's not what they are. They're just fake humans, like I just read in that verse. They're fake robot people. Nothing more, nothing less. And they only exist as empty vessels for the fallen. That's why they keep printing them out. A third of the angels fell with Satan. Refer to that. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and wickedness of men who suppress truth by their wickedness. You understand? And exchange the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man. Images made to look like mortal men. You gotta focus in on that. To made to look like. They're not us. Never have been, never will be. Romans chapter 1, this whole book. I wish I could read through this whole book and explain it to you, but I wouldn't know how to do that. We don't have the time for that, do we? But hopefully you understand. For the many years that I've been making videos through many different channels, what I'm trying to tell you. Because pretty soon, people aren't going to have that chance. You're going to have to pick a side. And you got to commit to it. Ain't no more hot or cold. Either you're in or you're out. That's how it is. And that's how it is with Satan as well. You're in or you're out. Ain't no games playing. Nobody's playing no games around here. Since 03, let the record show. I've been telling people. It's coming, bro. It's coming in 2012, bro. 2012, the Mayan calendar runs out, bro. Better get your stockpile of food. Nah, That's not what it is. Ain't gonna be no Mayan calendar in 20. Like I said, 2003. They were talking about 2012. No, no, ain't what it is. But they still don't understand. Still going to festivals, fairs, doing whatever they're told. That's what it is. Like I said, I knew that long ago. I know a lot of people just waking up are going to try to tell the people around them and neighbors and coworkers, and you're going to look crazy because you care about them and you want them to wake up, but they just never, they're not going to. It's not for them. And because we care about people, we try though. So I get it. But you will realize they're committed to their crap. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. They're never going to come off that in a million years. Church people are committed to their ways and they're committed to that church. They're wrong too. 144,000 people when the dust settles. How many people? That's not a lot. Look around. How many people are even real now? That's a great verse, Anne. Life support. You take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless. It's a great verse, Anne. Ephesians. Be not therefore partakers with them. Yeah, that's what I always say. Come out from them or partake in their plagues. That's another verse. For we're sometimes darkness, but now we are light. Yeah. Walk as children of light. You're going to need all of that for the darkness that's coming upon this place. The darkness. Refer to the darkness that came over the world when Christ was crucified. The darkness before the sun and the moon existed. The darkness is not of this world. What's coming here? I'm telling you. I know that's a little deeper. I refer to the devil bots, the robots, the empty vessels waiting for those destined for them. You understand? The darkness is not of this place. They're not aliens. They're not none of that crap. Satan and his fallen angels, Satan and his army are going to show up here and expose and crush Satan's own people to deceive as an angel of light. It's like everything else I've said that's happening. When that restrainer is lifted, it's on. But it's not for us. We're covered in the blood of Christ. Remember that. You can refer to when they put blood on the thresholds of their doors and the angel of death flew over their house, didn't see them. Now we're covered in the blood of Christ. That's why he died for our sins, because we are sinners. So understand why it's not going to affect you as much as what's happening around you. It ain't for you. And you'll see it happen to everybody else, though. But now you know why. Because you're covered in the blood of Christ. You understand? So I'm going to wrap it up. God bless all of you. All glory to Christ. I pray. Use all of our bodies as vessels to glorify you. All glory to Christ. I will talk to you all soon.